All right, NFL Week 17. First thing we're going to talk about is the MVP race. Currently, what we're looking at is kind of a two-man race, as I don't really think Tua is going to have what it takes to end up getting into that MVP thing. But one thing that is interesting is Lamar at minus 190. When you look at his stats, which I'm going to touch on in a little bit, they don't look MVP-like at all. CMC stats do look MVP-like, but he's a running back, so it naturally gets a little bit taken away from him. And then there's Josh Allen, who I actually think is a very sneaky MVP, and that's some stats I'm going to get into now. So, the Ravens 49ers game had huge MVP movement, as I believe Brock Purdy was actually favored in the game, and then it totally gets turned around, and now Brock, it almost looks like has no chance of winning. But let's look at these Lamar stats that I don't think look MVP-like. Lamar right now has about 3,350 passing yards, 19 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions, with another around 780 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. That doesn't really sound MVP like. That's 24 total touchdowns. I don't think that sounds that great. Where then you look at Josh Allen's sneaky good season. The Bills had a rough start, but if they win out, you could see Josh kind of sneaking into this MVP race, as he right now has 3,778 passing yards, more than Lamar. He has 27 passing touchdowns, which is 8 more passing touchdowns than Lamar. Here's one problem is turnovers. He has 15 interceptions. So that's kind of his slight, with adding on 400 rushing yards, and then the big one, 13 rushing touchdowns. So he's accounted for 40 touchdowns himself, whereas Lamar has only accounted for 24. That's a huge difference. The next thing I want to talk about is the Russell Wilson news. Some of this is kind of shocking, but when you zoom out, you kind of understand why, as you kind of realize that Russ has gotten around $145 million from the Broncos, but only produced 11 wins. Then you have a must win against the Pats. They lose that. That looks bad. And it almost seems like Sean Payton never seemed to really gel with Russ. And I think that kind of caused a problem. Um, so I don't think it's gonna get repaired at all. Russ will be gone after this year. But now the next thing is, where are the Broncos gonna go? Stidham looked good last year when he played for the Raiders, when Carr kind of got benched and cut. But I mean, the Broncos are gonna look for like a full-on new situation. So where are they gonna go there? It will be interesting to see this offseason. Now we're gonna head into games this week. Some of the headliner games are the Lions versus the Cowboys. The Cowboys are favored minus 5.5. I do like the Cowboys in this game. I'll get into that later. Then there's the Dolphins Ravens. That is a huge game for the AFC. Baltimore is favored minus 3.5. And then the final game, Sunday Night Football, is Vikings Packers, and Minnesota is favored. I like the Packers. Then we go to some big spread games, some possible blowouts. The Bills are minus 14 versus the Pats. I do think that will be a blowout. The Bills need to win. Then there's the Eagles minus 12 versus the Cardinals. Also think will be a blowout, but for some reason, sometimes the Cardinals kind of play close against good teams. And then there's the 49ers minus 13.5 versus Washington, which is slightly up in the air because Brock Purdy has a stinger in his back. If Brock Purdy plays, I do think it will for sure be a blowout. Now we're going to go into teams that I like this week. There's 3 spreads that I like. So I like the Packers +1. I think the Packers are going to win. I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus 2.5. I think they're on a roll, and Baker's been having an amazing season. Then one that's kind of up in the air right now is I like 49ers minus 13.5. I think they kill the Commanders, but that's only if Brock Purdy plays. All right, now we're going to do a pick-em of every game. So the Browns-Jets game has already happened. The Browns won, so I won't pick that. But in the Cowboys-Lions game, I think the Cowboys win. In the Dolphins versus Ravens, I think Ravens win. Bills versus Pats, I have the Bills. Falcons Bears, I have Bears. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Colts, I think the Colts will win. Then there's Panthers Jags. I'm Now that Trevor Lawrence isn't playing, I can see the Panthers winning. That one I'm not confident in, but I have the Panthers. And then there's Titans Texans. CJ Stroud's supposed to be back, clear concussion protocol. I have the Texans. Then there's Rams v Giants. Easy Rams. Eagles Cards, obviously Eagles. Then we have the Saints Buccaneers. Like I said, I like the Buccaneers spread, so obviously I'm taking the Buccaneers. 49ers versus Washington. I like the 49ers. Even if the 49ers don't even have Brock Purdy, I still think Sam Darnold beats the Commanders. Then there's Seahawks, Steelers. Seahawks for sure. Bengals, Chiefs. I like the Chiefs in a bounce back after having a terrible game on Christmas. Chargers, Broncos. I like the Broncos. Stidham was great last year when he filled in for Derek Carr, so I really like the Broncos. And then, like I said, to end it off, Packers, Vikings. I like the Packers to win. Now, lastly, we're gonna do some money line parlays. I have a kind of smaller one and then a huge one. So my four-legger parlay, all money lines, is the Texans, the Rams, the Eagles, and the Chiefs. You can get that four-legger at plus 225. Then a huge, massive eight-legger, just for fun, all money line. Here's the eight-leg: Texans, Bills, Rams, 49ers, Eagles, Buccaneers, Colts, and Chiefs. You can get that at plus 915. Thank you for watching.